But let's move on to Twitter Reacts, and let's see how Twitter reacted to the game yesterday. First of all, Nathan Stum saying, even better decision to make Madison and Romero vice-captains and not Dyer. I think that both Romero and Madison on the pitch took authority. I know Romero wasn't on there for long enough. He was only on for like 12, 13 minutes, but I saw like a different maybe mentality from Christian Romero yesterday, and definitely James Madison. James Madison was a proper leader on that pitch yesterday, and I was actually thinking about it yesterday. James Madison put the armband on his debut. Have you ever remembered a player ever at Spurs to put a captain's armband on their debut?
Great question. Can I remember a Tottenham player who's ever put their armband on their debut?
And let us know in the comment section if you remember someone, because I couldn't think of one person.
Sheringham's return, maybe?
Yeah, but he'd already been at the club.
Second debut?
He'd already been at the club.
Yeah, it might be the first time I can remember, unless it happened like way back when. In the Premier League era, is there a captain? Gallas, was he captain on his debut? Maybe. Because I remember Redknapp gave him the captaincy.
But wasn't Ledley King? Wasn't Ledley King?
Yeah, King was still there. Yeah, I can't remember too many times. Who was captain after King?
Dawson.
It was Dawson, yeah. And then when Dawson left, it became under Poch. Who was captain under Poch in his first season?
Kabul started captain, didn't he?
Kabul started, yeah. That wasn't his debut. So yeah, it might well be. It might well be the first time.
Yeah, it's mad. It's mad. Like first ever time on a debut, you get the captaincy and you play like that. Come on, big things to come from Mads.
Anyone in the comments, let us know.
But next is Tommy on Twitter says Basuma is him. 100% he's that guy. Basuma is that guy, and it's so vindicating when you've been talking about something for so long all summer. Basuma is going to have a massive season, and he puts in a performance in pre-season like that and backs it up with an even better display in the first game of the Premier League. And we all knew what a player Basuma was. He just didn't show it for one reason or another last year. Maybe the shackles were on him from Conte, didn't get a consistent run in the team, whatever it may be. But now we are starting to see the real Basuma, aren't we?
Yeah, you just saw him just so full of confidence, and when he's in full flight like that, he's absolute delight to watch. And you're looking at the current deals as well in the Premier League that are being done for central midfielders. You know, Chelsea demanding 50 million for Gallagher. You know, Caicedo's going for 110 million. Rice going for 105 million. And to think we got Basuma for 25 million. Now I'm looking at Basuma in the form that, if he's in the form that he's in yesterday and he's going to play consistently like that, I really believe he's up there, if not better than some of those names I just mentioned. Honestly, I really do. I think he's that good, and I think his performance level yesterday was that strong that I think it's going to be impossible for people to ignore if he consistently plays like that for Spurs.
Yeah. Absolutely, and a few stats to back up, which we brought you on the match review, but we'll bring it again. Why not? Yves Basuma against Brentford, 103 accurate passes, 92% completion rate, 1 key pass, 7 out of 8 dribbles completed, 11 out of 15 ground duels won, 2 clearances, 2 interceptions. Bossed that midfield today, and that's exactly right. Next one is from the Spurs Express, quoting Charlie Eccleshare, saying Tottenham registered 358 touches in the attacking third against Brentford today, more than they recorded in any Premier League match last season. Their best last season was 319 away to Bournemouth, and if you remember that game was clearly the game where we were playing in the opposition's half the most, as the stats lay out. And last season was just this game was already a completely different kettle of fish than anything that we saw last season.
100%, and to do this on game week 1 as well, like to do this right out the bat, like show a new way of playing. I've got stats which we'll go into in the 5 takeaways about the difference in what Ange is already showing, but it's really, really encouraging, and that's what I'm delighted about. He's already implementing how he wants to play straight away, and to be hitting those kind of numbers immediately in a very tough game like Brentford away as well is a sign of things to come, and that's what I'm excited about.
Absolutely. Another one here from the Spurs Express giving us some Mickey van der Ven stats, saying 5 clearances, 100% ground duels won, 5 out of 5, 4 out of 5 aerial duels, 67 accurate passes, 94.4 pass completion rate, and 0 times dribbled past as well. Unbelievable debut from the Dutchman, in my opinion. And I was worried, I kept saying it, I was worried about how he's going to acclimatise, or how quickly he's going to acclimatise acclimatized to the Premier League. Well, if this is anything to go by, I had nothing to worry about whatsoever.
Yeah, if that's going to be his debut in like a tough away ground like Brentford, and he's going to play like that, so assured and so confident, I really think he looks like a player who just has that self-belief where, you know, look, Ange had no worries, but I didn't think he was going to chuck him straight in. I really didn't, and he did. He said, I saw enough in training. This guy's clearly a very good footballer, and he just chucked him straight into the first team. I think that's an indication of how impressed he's probably been with him when he's had him looked at him in the flesh, and also probably his own confidence. He had no worries about him being overawed by the occasion, or, you know, you've seen defenders have really dodgy starts and just not look confident and take time to like bed in, but he just like fitted in like he'd been there for ages.
Just look at Pau Torres over the weekend.
Yeah, exactly.
Pau Torres looked terrible in that Villa defence on the weekend, and Van der Ven has come in and he has literally taken to this team like a duck to water, and I think that this partnership between him and Romero is absolutely going to flourish, with Romero's kind of sense of maybe sense of the, you know, the captaincy and authority maybe he's going to have in that back line. I think he's going to grow as a player for it. I think Van der Ven is already showing what he can do, and I think they're only going to get better as well. So we need cover for them, though. That's the main thing. We really do need cover for them. Next up, another one for the Spurs Express, giving us James Madison's stats, saying two assists, 6 key passes, 1 big chances created, 2 fouls won, a brilliant debut from the Spurs number 10. And, you know, being given the number 10 shirt is after Harry Kane leaves 3 days before this game is no small thing, in my opinion. And for Madison to wear that number 10 shirt, to put in a performance like that, show authority on the football pitch, show what we've been missing pretty much since Christian Eriksen has left the football team. I mean, again, this is a player who is going to flourish for us this season. Yeah, and he took that responsibility with both hands, and he clearly showed, I want to be the main man. Kane's gone, I'm going to be that creative hub of the team that maybe is that void that we're going to miss without Harry Kane in the team. And I thought he really showed yesterday that he's up to the challenge, and I can't wait for what the season brings for him. And next, we've got Nathan Clark. He was responding to a tweet that said, Richarlison registered the joint fewest touches of 34 of any starting player today and recorded just 1 shot on target. And then Nathan Clark quote tweeted that saying, last season at Celtic, Kyogo averaged 4.9 touches per 90, by far the lowest among the centre forwards in the SPL last season. 4.9? 14. Oh, 14. I was about to say 4. That's very low. 14.9. Yeah, and that's what we were saying about the striking position in Postecoglou's system. Obviously, when you've got someone like Harry Kane, I think himself, he's like kind of not going to allow that to happen because he just loves to be involved in the game. But maybe for someone like Richarlison, that'll benefit him in a way, because we know that his build-up play is not the best, and we know that like when you fizz it into him and you ask him to trap the ball and hold it up, it's not his strongest point. So maybe it's in a weird way, him just being less involved in that kind of stuff is probably to his benefit. Yeah, I would say yes as well, but I'd also like to see a bit of variation in the play. I was looking at Son being a bit wasted on the left-hand side and Richarlison being a bit wasted in the middle. I would like to see them maybe interchange a lot more throughout the game, maybe get the opponent double guessing a little bit where which player is going to be, make us a bit more unpredictable, because I think Son being pushed out to the left and Richarlison just hanging around there in the centre was a little bit too predictable. So I would like to see them maybe interchange a lot more throughout the game. Yeah, but having said that, I was thinking about like, if Son would have started in the 9 yesterday, would anything have changed in terms of like how involved he was in the game, in that particular game? I think he also would have struggled in that. He would have, but he potentially would have finished off one of those chances.
Yeah, he potentially would have. Yeah, the chance maybe because he's a better finisher than Richarlison. I think
Son did have one finish at the back post. Obviously, it was a very hard one with the volley, but it went wide.
I agree with you. I think he might have finished one of those chances, but I don't think he would have gotten any more chances than Richarlison got.
Yeah, I agree with that. Next up from Spurs OTM, just a quote from Ange saying, Ange on if the pre-match huddle in front of the fans was asked or player-led, he says, nah, not me, mate. I have enough on my plate. It was driven by the players, and I thought our supporters were outstanding today. It's fair to say that we have put them through a fair bit in this pre-season. We can all try and do is give them the hope and belief that we'll have a season where they can see a team that is growing and representing the football club in the best possible way. I thought the supporters were outstanding today, and hopefully they leave the ground maybe disappointed we weren't able to get the win, but at least seeing the players are fully committed to us trying to become a football team that makes an impact. And you know what? That's exactly how I felt coming out of that stadium yesterday. I was frustrated that we didn't take the 3 points, but I left the ground with optimism of what's going to happen this season and the way we started off with life under Ange Ball. And that huddle was a great idea, because I tell you what, being in that away end, I was right there, right at the front by that huddle. Sonny's leading the team over towards us, and it really got the crowd going. The crowd went absolutely bonkers after that, and then Sonny came up to the fans after the huddle and gave it all that, and got the fans really going. And the fans were really up for it yesterday. And I was a bit worried coming into this game, thinking after Harry Kane has gone, are the fans going to be a bit dejected? But no, there was a feeling yesterday that I haven't felt in a long time, a start of a new era. And there was a bit of that feeling under Conte, but it was nowhere near the feeling I got yesterday in that stands. And everyone was just in kind of good spirits yesterday, and it was good to see.
Yeah, and Ange, it was interesting to hear what Ange's comments like in the pre-season, and like talking about the fans, and he was saying how, you know, fans are the best judges, and he said my aim isn't all like, obviously he wants to get results, he wants to win, but he said as long as I can keep the fans happy and like they can see what I'm doing, I'm sure that's going to be the best indicator of how good of a job I'm doing, not necessarily just results. And I think we've even seen that, because let's be honest, results early on haven't been great in pre-season and yesterday. It wasn't like the best results, but I think every Tottenham fan is getting on board with what they're seeing, and they're enjoying the kind of football that Ange is trying to implement on the team and the kind of philosophy he's instilling. And I think that is an indication that, and you know, at times last season we were winning games 1-0 and here and there, and Tottenham fans, even just because we were winning doesn't mean we're happy with the performances. So I think goes to show that the fans aren't just blinded by results, and they do like see things for what they are a lot of the time on the pitch. And I think that what we're seeing on the pitch with Ange is very easy to buy into for a lot of the fan base.
Yeah, and it's not just that, but I think that over the past 3-4 years, since probably the Champions League run, there's been a massive disconnect between the players, the club and the fans. And I think doing stuff like that, these small little things, can start to rebuild that relationship between the fans, in my opinion. And I felt yesterday there was more of a connection between the players and the fans than there has been in a very long time. And I think, yes, I know that the idea to come over to the fans was to do with Sonny and Madison arranging it, but I'm telling you, behind the scenes, Ange is drilling into them how important this kind of relationship between the fans is, and I think they grew on that yesterday. So I couldn't be happier. We need that. We need that back at Tottenham because it's been missing for so long. But let's move on. We've got one here about Yves Basuma again, saying he had more touches, successful dribbles, Jules won, successful dribbles and shots against Brentford than any of his 23 Premier League appearances last season for Spurs. A truly standout performance, which we were alluding to before. And this is the map that I was saying about before on Match of the Day, the difference between Antonio Conte's last game and Spurs and Ange Postecoglou's first game. So if you could see that, I don't know if you can see it properly, but that's the average positions pretty much for Conte's last game in blue, and then Postecoglou's first game in white. You could just see there's just a total difference of where we're spending our time on the pitch, which is absolutely brilliant. And this one, I think it stopped. Here we go. The rise of the machine 2023. Yves Basuma, great standout display today, big season ahead. And you can see that he was an absolute machine yesterday, Yves Basuma. So hopefully more to come. And that is it from Twitter React. So that is how Twitter reacted to the game yesterday.